Today I'm joined along the towpath by Robin Rathore from Bamboo PropTech. Robin is an expert in all things auctions, but he's had a really interesting journey into PropTech. Today we explore auctions, we talk about his journey, we talk about everything around it, specifically in relation to the market as it stands right now. Hope you enjoy. Robin, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Towpath. Where have you come from today?
Market Harborough.
Market Harborough. Oh,
Yeah.
lovely drive out.
Yeah,
Nice
yeah.
part of the world, that. So, Robin Rathore from Bamboo, not Bamboo Auctions anymore, is it Bamboo?
Bamboo PropTech.
PropTech.
Yeah.
So there we go. So why
Newly rebranded.
newly rebranded? Excellent. So for the benefit of those who perhaps aren't aware of who you are, what's your name? Where do you come from? Tell us all about you.
Oh wow. My name is Robin, as you just said. I am the founder CEO of Bamboo PropTech, formerly Bamboo Auctions, and I'm originally from London. Well, Surrey actually. And slowly making my way northwards. And now in Market Harborough. We've got an office in Market Harborough, an office in London as well. And yeah, we provide technology to estate agents.
Okay.
And allows them to control, list, manage their own online auctions as a service.
Okay, good stuff. So Bamboo PropTech.
Yes.
Just give us a very brief summary of what that is and what you guys do.
So Bamboo PropTech, as it sounds, we're a PropTech business. We are a supplier to estate agents, and we provide them with technology that allows them to control, list, manage, and ultimately offer their own online auction service.
Okay.
In-house. With their own branding. It's our flagship product, but the plan is to
expand beyond
just auctions. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, that's where we're looking towards now with this rebrand.
With this rebrand, okay, good stuff. So, you say you come up from London. You weren't always in property, were you, or supplier to property? You were.
I was a corporate lawyer.
You were one of those.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I would say I'm slowly trying to buy back my soul, but I'm not sure I'm in the right place.
Oh, I don't know. What do you say?
Maybe I am.
It's a good place to start.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's a good place.
So, tell us a little bit about that. So, what was it that drew you into property, or as a supplier to property? What was it that began that transition?
So I guess, I mean, as I said, I'm a corporate lawyer, I guess, by trade. So I qualified practice, trained in London. I specialised in M&A, private equity, but with a focus on corporate real estate and tech. So I was kind of already in the space, but just in a different kind of guise.
I've got it from a different angle.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Actually, I came at this from some personal experience. It's a bit cliched, but I had some savings at one point. I had some savings, and I thought, do you know what? I'd watched far too much Homes Under the Hammer when I was a student, and I thought I'd go to an auction and see if I could, bid on a property. And I found the whole thing quite difficult, actually.
The actual process.
The actual process of getting involved.
So were you trying to buy a property?
I was trying to buy a property.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't anything kind of crazy. It wasn't anything dramatically expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to bid on a property, and I left the auction room having done lots and lots of homework on the property. I left the auction room disappointed. I didn't win.
You didn't win, right? Okay.
I just thought, you know, actually, it would have been a lot easier if I could have done this online.
It's really
And
interesting.
that was 10 years ago.
So it wasn't really a thing, the online auctions at that point?
No, it wasn't really a thing. No.
There were solutions out there, but nothing really.
Nothing that had taken off, no. And you know, realised very quickly, having done some research into it, that actually there was a market for this, and that actually estate agents were the key.
Mm-hmm. So rather than doing it yourself as an agent,
yeah,
it was to be a supplier to.
Well, yeah, because actually, if you think about it, if you walk down the high street of any kind of market town, and you look at the corners of, look at these old estate agents. You see the corners; they're engraved in stone. Joe Bloggs and Co. Estate agent, auctioneer, and land since 1803 or whatever. Estate agents used to be auctioneers, and actually over time they lost, for whatever reason, cost or just generational, they just lost the skill set. And so actually what we're doing is giving estate agents back the service they originally had.
I like that. That's good. Yeah, I've worked for two agencies, both of whom were started in the 1800s, and both of whom still do auctions. But in a very different manner from which they started. I think one of them first started selling chickens, and then moved into property. So.
Well, there you go. I mean, I think this is the thing. It's auctions are a tried and tested method of sale, hundreds of years old, and what we've done is reinvented.
Some countries, it's the core method of sale.
Well, exactly. I mean, in Australia, 50% of I think it's 50% of all properties are sold by auction. I would, to this day, still don't. Still think they've got it right. I think they've got it right. I still don't understand why it's not as high as it should be in this country. It should be somewhere in the region of 20% at least.
So why isn't it?
I think there is still, and it's changing, but I still think there's a stereotype around auctions.
Okay.
That it's for a certain type of property, and actually it's less about the property.
Rundown wreck. Yeah. The homes under the hammer.
Well, homes under the hammer actually hasn't done good things for the industry.
So despite the conduit to get you into the
I've turned
industry,
my back on it.
You're now turncoat.
It's not doing its part in changing the perception of auctions.
It really isn't it?
It's just reinforcing the stereotype.
And funnily enough, because we, just for the interests of full disclosure, we are a user of Bamboo Auctions. We're huge fans, and that's why I asked Robin to come on, because frankly, of all the solutions and all the teams we've worked with, we just love what you do. The values are aligned with ours, and it's just a great setup.
That's very kind.
And plug over. But
keep going.
the part of the pitch actually that we use is forget about homes under the hammer. Don't worry about homes under the hammer, because it's not about those sorts of properties, is it?
No, it's about the vendor. It's about your client's situation. If the seller wants a faster sale, if they're time sensitive, and if the property ultimately is chain free, then you should think online auctions.
So that's your tip, is it?
Yeah.
Chain free, vendor is highly motivated.
Yeah. Ask the question. Ask the question of the seller.
Irrespective of price point?
Irrespective of price point.
Okay. So
of course, we've got, you can sell, if you can sell a multi-million pound piece of art by auction, why can't you sell a property that's £500,000?
Which is a fair question, really, isn't it?
It's not about the price point. It's about the. It's not about the initial price point. It's about the delivery of the service. It's a method of sale that gets you a fast, certain, transparent, and secure way of selling a property. And we need it more than ever in this market.
So talk us through the process then, because that's something we want to get to, isn't it? That ultimately this is right now, as of October 2025, this is a really tough market.
Yeah.
So
fragile. I'd call it a fragile market.
Yeah, that's fair, and I think a lot of things are fragile right now, aren't they? Let's be honest. So let's talk about the process then. So for those who are not as familiar or not as comfortable with the online side of things, how does it work? Let's do a potted version and a small version of it.
So do you mean from a buyer or a seller perspective? From an agent?
The agent's perspective.
Okay, so from an agent's point of view, once they've identified that a property is suitable for an auction, for an online auction, they can go into our dashboard and they can list that property. If they can also push it from most CRMs. So we're now integrated with most CRMs. They can push it from their CRM straight into their own online auction page, which is branded with their branding on their own website. And they control their pricing, they control the timescales, they can launch an auction for an hour. They can also launch an auction for up to 30 days. It's their control.
Yeah.
They control their
And that's
fees.
the time period of how long it's been marketed for, and the countdown clock begins.
Exactly. They control their fees, their fee structures, and that's crucial because every market is different. And some agents want more control over. In fact, most agents want control over the fee structures that they charge their buyers and their sellers. Yeah. And they can do that with this platform. So once they've got the property into the platform and it's up and running, it's ready for buyers to view legal packs. So each property has a legal pack in advance. They can view the legal packs, and there's an audit trail of who's downloaded at what times.
That's the transparency. That's making sure that everything is as visible as possible.
Exactly.
In advance. Okay.
They can arrange to view properties on specified days during that period of time that the property is live, and then they can place bids on properties.
Okay.
To bid, a buyer has to go through a biometric ID check. They've got to put their payment details in. They've got to put their solicitor details in. These are verified buyers that are coming through the platform. There's now about 100,000 of them on our site.
Goodness me. Okay.
And it gives confidence to the agent that they know that the transaction is more than likely going to be certain.
Yeah, so you've ticked a lot of the boxes before you begin, really, haven't you?
Well, exactly, and there's a lot of talk at the moment in the market around, speed of transaction. I think I saw a report recently. It said that average transaction times are somewhere close to about 125 days.
Yeah.
In some cases more.
Well, when you say it's average,
well,
it
it's
means
average,
that at least half of them are over.
Exactly, and I think it's longer if it's a longer transaction time if the property is more than £1 million. I mean, that's just crazy. It's just ludicrous, and everybody in the industry.
It's unsustainable for the
knows
industry.
it. Yeah. I mean, look, if you sell a property today, you're not going to get paid this year. No. That's the fact.
So timescales wise for auction then?
It's about 6 weeks.
Goodness me.
And that is significant.
Quite an incentive, isn't it?
Yeah, that's significant, and we think we can unlock.
You can take an instruction and be paid within 8 weeks because a couple of weeks ago the property ready to market. Yep. And then within 8 weeks, you've got money in your account.
Yeah, I'd say that's adding in some headroom.
Some headroom.
Yeah. 8 weeks, you're going to get your fees paid.
So
critical in a market like this, where working capital's key, transaction times are slow and need to be sped up. We think we can unlock about 20% of the market.
The secret
this method of sale.
The secret's about control, isn't it? And for estate agents at the moment, we don't have a lot of control. We are beholden to whatever daft announcement comes out of the government next, or whatever obstacle gets in the way of challenges economically or politically, sentiment, etc. But also we have huge challenges when it comes to the conveyancing process and getting things over the line. So you're saying that what auctions can actually do is give a substantial amount of control back to the agent. Yeah,
that's exactly it. And I think, there are, I think this may be controversial, but, I think we're giving a piece of technology to estate agents to be able to bring their service back in-house, or bring their service in-house.
So you're not outsourcing it?
It's not an outsourced solution. It's not you're not giving away your business, which I think is critical. When today's buyer is tomorrow's seller, you want to preserve that relationship for as long as you possibly can. We all know, in the agency world, that sellers often come back to you because they bought the property from you, 7, 8, 10 years ago. And I think it's critical to keep hold of those relationships. It's also important to keep hold of those cross-selling opportunities. We have agents that will regularly, they'll sell properties to a buyer who will then go through to their lettings department for property management services. And you just don't get that if you've outsourced that service.
And it feels very much to the person that you're dealing with. That feels very much like it's a nicely wrapped and packaged service.
Yeah, and I think also, there are lots of agents out there, and agents are competing with each other all the time. And this is one way to do it. Like, agents should be competing on their quality of service as well.
So,
and this is one way to do it.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. So there is a, as you know, we have an element of our business which is the self-employed side of things, and we know that, and a lot of the conversations we've had up and down this towpath and with other people is about the self-employed model. There are a lot of brokerages out there that are getting bigger and bigger, some bigger than others.
Yeah.
So when it comes to those individuals, then how is this an appeal? Is this appealing to them, self-employed agents?
Yeah, it is. We do have a service in-house that can help them with additional, if they need additional support. But actually, this product is pretty turnkey, and we have a customer success team that trains and onboards. And I think it's about really having the confidence to upskill yourself and be able to then deliver that service on.
Because let's be honest, there's an awful lot of agents out there who've entered the world now who are self-employed, who aren't skilled in estate agency. They've come in because they think it's easy, or they think it's it's a quick route to make a bit of money in a world where there's a lot of it wash at the moment. So really, there's a bit of learning to do, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, but it's about having the confidence to invest in yourself. And I think if you're the owner of the self-employed kind of business,
the model itself,
I think there's an extra benefit to being able to provide that learning and development, that upskilling to your team. Probably why Chartwell Noble's so successful, right? Because I know that you guys do invest in the people that join your business, and so I think it's really important that actually we do upskill, and that agents are constantly upskilling, and they're going to need to as regulations change as well.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that in the next few years, isn't there? So, okay, so let's explore it a bit further then. So, with regards to tech, so you are at the moment seeing an adoption of tech, and we've discussed AI this morning before we started filming. And what's the future of Bamboo look like? Because it's a product which one would argue that you are different in terms of what you offer, which we'll come to. But what does the future look like for Bamboo?
So I think it's a good question. We are rolling out products that ultimately help our agents to sell more properties. And one of the things that we're constantly looking at ways that make the agent experience better. And I think it's from that point of view, we're constantly talking to our agents to understand where the pain points are, where the challenges are, and then building products and solutions to help them to solve those problems. So we've got a roadmap that's pretty long.
Okay.
I think integrations are key. I think identifying the right kinds of properties to help our agents.
Okay. Good.
To put more properties into the auction, but also we're rolling out other products that touch the other parts of the market. So, for example, we see a lot of pain points in the private treaty side of things.
Okay.
And we've identified areas that we can help to speed up transaction times based on some of the tried and tested things that we've got in the auction side.
Okay.
We can actually carry some of those things across to
Such
the private treaty side. Well, look, reservation agreements.
Good.
Reservation agreements are, if we can standardise those, I think they can become incredibly effective in increasing certainty rates and stopping fall-throughs. I saw an article the other day. I think it's something like 82,000 fall-throughs in the last quarter
I mean, today I think there was an announcement or an article in Property Industry Eye that was saying that they're off the chart
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the moment.
I think it's
20 EA.
Yeah. It's the largest number of fall throughs on record. I think it's something that's. You know, there are some real problems in the industry. I don't feel like are being solved holistically, and I think everybody seems to be looking for a silver bullet.
Good.
Without thinking about,
which would be great, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be amazing.
Do you know where it is? I'd like to know where it is.
We're over there, I think, in the middle of that
you're
canal.
right. Yeah.
But I think the problem is that if we this is a problem not just in the industry. This is a problem in the world, in the society at the moment. Yeah. There's we're not looking at solutions to problems in a holistic way.
Okay.
Everyone's looking for a quick fix, and there aren't quick fixes. But if we adopt things in a way that gives us marginal gains across the piece, then we will start to speed up transactions. We will get
it needs
more
multidiscipline buy-in.
Yeah, of course it is.
Unless we can come up with a solution.
Yeah, and it's having the confidence to be able to implement them. And I think the successful agents, I think, recognise that. And
so
are
I
doing
think there's a
those
solution.
things.
Right? So everybody's looking in the
You're
private.
the politician thing.
I am, aren't I? Yeah. So I'll keep my hands in my pockets, get told off for that. So everybody's looking for the solution.
Yeah.
In private treaty.
Yeah.
And they're saying, right, we need to get everybody aligned, all these different people, and there's all kinds of initiatives, and they're great and they're very admirable, and everybody's come up with 80% of the solution. Is there not a solution already in front of us then?
Well, yeah, there is. I mean, there is.
A 6-week solution.
There's a 6-week solution.
So why isn't over 50% of sales in the UK through auction? Why is it through private treaty when it is ultimately, fundamentally a broken process?
Well, look, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? Ultimately, I believe it could be. I believe that we can unlock 20% with the right messaging, with the right agents on board as well. I think we can unlock 20% of the market into the auction sector. But that leaves 80% of the market that's still struggling.
Yeah.
It will increase average transaction times, of course, but I think 80% of the market there needs to be, there are other solutions that can also help. We need better, actually I think we need better relationships between conveyancers and agents.
Yes.
You see a lot of...
That's not going to happen anytime soon.
Frankly,
having had the opportunity to sit in front of a load of lawyers a few months ago and ask quite bluntly for their opinion on us, it wasn't great. And it was ill-informed. And unfair.
He's running fast.
However, he's running faster than I would be, but it makes you wonder what he's running from, really, isn't it? But if there's a bear suddenly that just appears, just let us know. Some lawyers. But, that relationship is fundamentally broken. It will require legislative change or something greater to force that relationship into being something more constructive. But again, I go back to the question, is the solution not already there?
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, the solution is already there. I think we have a task to actually convince and educate agents that this is the solution that they should be adopting. And I think it is happening.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more and more larger agents joining, for example, joining Bamboo, but also just joining and adopting auctions as an extra service. Okay. So it is happening. It's just happening slower than I'd like it to happen, and slower than we'd all like it to happen.
Yeah. Auction currently is a solution. It is a tool. It is a product.
Yep.
It is a prop tech. Use me and you'll make loads of money. But actually, is it more than that? Because if Australia is doing what they're doing at 6%, and everybody's working together, and it's really hard in Australia. I'm not. We know the stories that come out of there with the challenges they face. But I think we can comfortably, as an industry, look over the other side of the planet at Australia and go, I'd love to be trading over there.
Yeah.
The
weather's
weather's
nice,
better for a start.
But it's not too bad.
It's not bad. I'd probably want a little bit more than just a gilet, to be honest. But
yeah, it's very brave.
But Is this not then something that, as an industry, we need to completely shift our whole mindset, that PropTech isn't auction isn't a bolt-on.
Yeah.
It isn't we could also do, because surely for you and the others like you in PropTech world about all things auction,
Yeah.
a dream would be a branch that opens up that only does what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're right about it being a mindset, and we've seen the most successful of our customers centralise their auctions.
Take it really bloody seriously.
Take it really seriously, and we've got one agent. They've just broken the record for the number of listings and leads that they've brought in, purely because they've centralised their auction. And so we've got the evidence that centralising the auction works.
So that is a team of people who purely focus on auctions and nothing else.
Yeah, their job is to go round all their branches hunting for auction stock. And our job is to give them the tools, the tech tools, to enable them to do it. And it works brilliantly. So yeah, there is a mindset.
So this is a business owner issue here, isn't it? This involves training of staff to be more comfortable with it as a method of sale.
Yeah, asking the
As
right
you say,
questions.
It was originally how we used to
Well,
sell
yeah,
houses,
asking the right questions at the right times. When that first phone call comes in, and the negotiator picks up the phone, ask the question: when do you want to sell this by?
Oh, I can feel another podcast coming on, Robin. That's what I can feel.
Yeah.
It's almost like there needs to be such a loud voice that it needs to become not something which sometimes it's discussed and do you, and
Yeah.
it should be something that actually fundamentally is 50% of the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, when do you want to sell this property by? Is this property chain free? I ask those discovery questions at that earlier stage. It's going to give your valuer the best chance of converting that lead into the right method of sale. Ultimately, as agents, you have a kind of duty of care, I guess, to provide the best possible advice. There's a responsibility there, and it's quite a great responsibility, because you're dealing with the largest asset, the most expensive asset. They come to you for advice.
Yeah.
So,
but not every property is suitable for it, though.
No, and that's why asking the right questions at the right times to identify when it is suitable.
So what isn't suitable?
Is critical.
What do we sit there and go, no, yeah, it's just absolutely the wrong solution.
When a seller says, I'm in no rush, I'm happy to hold out for the price that I want. We know we're not in any rush to sell this property. That's not going to work.
No.
They're not going to accept the method of sale that gives you the fastest, most secure way of doing it.
They're prepared to take the gamble and time.
They're prepared to take the gamble, and I think that's the key. So I think it's the vendor's motivations, the seller's motivations that you want to pay attention to. Then you can look at the type of property.
Yeah.
And there are some properties that just don't lend themselves very well to this method of sale.
Such as?
Only available to over 60s. They're a nightmare.
Yeah. Mind you, time's of the essence.
Well, true. Yeah,
Can't
true.
be hanging around for a year.
True. Yeah, I mean, look, there aren't that many that aren't suitable. It's all about the price point that you go in at.
Yeah.
But it's the seller's circumstances ultimately that you need to pay attention to.
Okay. So, a good avatar then, a decent, an agent takes a phone call, and we end up in a position where we are looking for the right type of person. That person looks like what? Somebody who's highly motivated, in a great position, no onward chain. Is that what it looks like?
Basically. Mm-hmm. It's like you've done this before.
It's almost like I've had some training or something. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
There you go. My job here is done.
Yeah, look at that. Great. Well, we'll wrap up then. Okay. So, making sure that we have the ability to identify early. So, you're, as a business owner, the incentive is what? Quicker revenue.
Yeah. Faster revenue. So you earn your revenue at the point of sale, not necessarily at the point of exchange. So if you're selling with a conditional auction, you'll get the revenue at the point that the property is reserved.
So the minute the virtual hammer goes down.
Exactly. And you can crystallise that revenue because it's, if you're selling a property and it's exchanging faster, that revenue is no longer uncertain.
Yep.
Also, the fact is
which increases the value of your business.
Increases the value. Well, yeah, exactly. It does increase the value of your business. So if you're that way inclined, and that's where your head is at that point. Yeah, well,
it doesn't have to be an exit to want to increase the value of business. It may be raising, it may be security, it could be all kinds of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Value means different things to different people, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think also it's diversifying your income stream. So, we saw during COVID, there weren't very many ways to sell a property.
No.
But online auctions was one of them.
Went through the roof, didn't it?
And so, purely from that point of view, diversifying the income streams of your business is also going to increase the value of it. But it's also just going to mean that there's, I guess, less stress and pressure to deliver on one.
It's a very happy day when an auction goes through. And we had a wonderful experience where we were selling a farm nearby. Advice ranged from 500 to 700.
Yeah.
From other agents. We and
so
some
not
were
your traditional auction.
No, not a rundown wreck.
Yeah.
This was about 4 or 5 acres. It was a house that was in need of some love. It was a probate sale.
Yeah.
And there was a barn with planning permission. So there was a multiple different ways of looking. And some people were, please don't be the first one to fall in. There were several different people who were giving different advice. Some were saying, sell it as one lot, split it up. There were all kind of things. And George said, let's break it up. Let's turn it into several different lots. Let's see what interest we can pull in, and we can stick the auction together, and we can see how it goes. We'll put it on for 700, and we'll drive some interest. So at the point of the auction coming to an end, we had the vendors sat in our boardroom with us. We put it on the great big TV.
Yeah.
We had one with the auction, one with our dashboard, and we could see the live bids as they were coming in. And as the auction date was coming to, or the auction timer was coming to an end, it just started happening. And I think, you might correct me here, I think we had nearly 80 bids.
Yeah, we did.
That came in for that.
Yeah.
And it was magnificent. Sadly, I had to get on a train, so I was watching it on the train as we were going down. But the guys in the office were sat, and they were all sat round watching with the vendors in the boardroom as this just kept going up and up, and it ended up going for over 900.
Yeah.
And it was extraordinary as an experience. Great experience to the vendor, huge satisfaction. Champagne was being popped at the end of it, literally.
Yeah.
But as a business, what a fee.
Well, exactly.
And it was within 24 hours
Yeah.
from that point. We got that money in because it was, it
And
sold.
I can tell you, we were watching that one from our side, and we were equally celebrating. And do you know, it's those days,
Make it.
and they're happening more and more and more as more and more agents take this on. But it makes it all worth it. And it's
What's
for
your
us,
vision from that day one of trying to buy your own auction, your own
exactly.
property at auction?
Yeah, well, that's it, exactly. And if I think, 10 years ago, how far actually we've come with this, it's pretty, I'm quite proud of it.
Yeah, you should be.
And ultimately, our technology is here to make the agent experience better. And it sounds like we did it.
Oh, you definitely did that. Oh my God, it was fantastic. And do you know what it did? More than anything else for us, it gave us the appetite to do more of it.
Yeah.
And so we have got centralised person now pushing and driving auctions.
Yeah.
That's something which we are putting in place. We've got all of our agents who are really focused. And this is why I asked the question about not all properties, because we have put some properties in that haven't necessarily been right. But primarily the reason that properties aren't sold, as with all things, private treaty and auction otherwise, is because of the price.
Yeah, of course.
Pricing then, talk to us about pricing.
Well, okay, I would start by saying it's a gavel, not a wand. So,
That's a soundbite, that is. You've got a round of applause off Stu, that's amazing.
it's this isn't, you can't just expect that if you put a property into an online auction platform that it's just going to sell. You've got to do certain things to help it along the way. And
Such
pricing is critical. The idea is that with auction, you're pricing it to try and find 5 buyers. You're not trying to price it to find 1.
Yep.
So the idea is you price to try and get as much interest in the property as you possibly can to increase the price upwards. It's the only method of sale where the price goes upwards.
It's more important to get it starting down
So
here.
you've got to get it started at a level that's going to get everybody interested in it. And that's where the skill comes in talking to the vendor. Because it's about convincing and discussing with the vendor and persuading them and allowing them to trust you that actually you know what you're doing, that if we put it in at this particular price point, we stand a really good chance. And we know, because we have all the data around this, we know within 7 days of a property going live whether it's going to sell. And if you price it at the right level, you get all the interest just flooding in, and you know that you're going to get a competitive process going, and the price will increase. But it's about having that really open and honest conversation with the seller. Now, that is difficult to do, because there are times where you're competing with your colleague or competing with the other agents on the high street for that one instruction. And so you might feel...
You're going in there and saying...
And you're going
I know
in,
everybody else has said
exactly.
$500,000, but I think it should be 350.
Exactly. Well, maybe not that dramatic, although that would definitely sell.
It'd definitely get you 5 bidders, wouldn't it?
But the skill is in presenting options. There aren't going to be other agents who go into that discussion won't give that seller the options that are available. So no one is saying that you can't go in and pitch private treaty and auction and do it at 2 different price points and give the pros and cons of both methods of sale. In fact, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And it also gives you an advantage, because it shows the seller that you're thinking about how best to sell for them. Because if they're time sensitive, which is what should have happened.
Heron losing its temper there. Look at that.
There we go.
Not helpful. Nice though, nice to look at.
Impressive.
Yeah.
That's probably more important. Let's just do that.
Yeah, it's probably far more important. David Attenborough when you got to say.
I mean, I know nothing about herons.
But it looked good.
I can't even remember what we were talking about.
So we'll talk about
it's
pricing.
About price point. If you're an agent and you're going into the living room and you're able to demonstrate to the seller that you've thought about the fact that they want to sell it quickly.
So it's a strategy.
Here's a strategy to sell it quickly, and here's a strategy around price, and here's but also you have this private treaty option, which you all know about anyway, and we'll price it at this level. Just giving the seller the choice and the options. There's a lot going on this Towpath.
Yeah, it's a busy one today.
But given the choice and the options to the seller, actually shows that you care, shows you're thinking about it, showing that it's a bespoke advice.
Almost like you're an expert.
There you go. Reinforces that.
It's not a one-trick pony. It's not. We can put it on the market. We can stick it on Rightmove. Take some nice pictures and fingers crossed it works.
Presumably, everyone says the same thing, right? Nice house. Yeah. This is the price.
How are you going to prove you're different? Well, by proving you're different.
This is your differentiator, and shows you've done your homework.
Okay. Good. Okay. So we've done that. We've stuck it on the market. Hopefully got the guide price, because talk to us about reservation, reserve prices and
it's different to private treaty. You're not setting one price, you're setting effectively 2. You've got a reserve price, which is confidential, and that is the price that the seller is legally obliged to sell the property for. And then you've got a guide price, which ultimately is your kind of marketing price. There are some rules around the levels that the reserve can be relative to the guide price as well. So a reserve cannot be more than 10% of a differential of the guide price. So if you put a guide price in at £100,000, your reserve can't be more than 110.
Okay.
So there are some kind of restrictions around that. but these are conversations that you would have with your seller, and the reserve is obviously confidential as well. So, from a transparency point of view, buyers are then made aware of the fact that there are reserves on properties. It also demonstrates to the buyer the kind of levels they need to
go in at.
Yeah,
so it's sort of, whilst it's not disclosed, it is, if you know what you're looking for.
If you know what you're looking for, you
and then
tell.
Let's talk about opening bids, because that's a strategy, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you set an opening bid up to be something that's attractive, they do it in an auction room, right? Who's going to start me off at 100,000? Who's going to start me off at 50,000? Just to try and get some interest in.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do that too.
And the agent has more control over that than they think, perhaps.
Yeah, and actually that's perhaps something that we haven't necessarily shouted about as much as we.
Because to us, it was like this is a great way of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So you can set your opening bid, the first offer that you're willing to accept on the property. It's different from the guide price, which is the advertised. That's the price that you're marketing at. But you might choose to drop the opening bid down to encourage people to actually put offers in effectively. And at least at that point, you've got offers on the table. You've got bids on the table.
You've got activity.
You've got activity.
There's proof at that point, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And if a property for whatever reason doesn't sell, doesn't hit the reserve, and you've got bids on that property, you've now got an evidence-based approach to go back to your seller and say, we think the price is, we think we should be reducing the price, or we think, the price point is not quite right, and here's the evidence to support price adjustment. You can't have a price adjustment conversation
without somebody giving an opinion on price.
Well, yeah, exactly. But also, I think if you're in the private treaty side and you try and have a price adjustment conversation after 3 months, the seller's kind of expecting it. There's a trust issue, potentially, and you don't want to have that difficult conversation with them. But if you've got evidence to support, you can say, we tried an online auction, we tried at this price point, we got 2,000 people on the watch list, 20 people on 2,000 page views, 20 people on the watch list, and it was a really popular property, but we didn't get the offers, we didn't get the bids. That's evidence to go back to your seller and say, we think we should adjust the price.
Okay.
And they're more likely to trust and believe that.
So let's talk about what people are really interested in.
Go on.
Or agents are really interested in: fees.
Okay. I thought you were going to say AI.
No, there are other episodes I can watch that about. There's plenty of that. Yeah, there's plenty of conversations about that. So let's talk about fees. What are we thinking? What does an agent expect to earn out of an auction?
So agents
give me some averages.
Agents have control over their own fees.
Through Bamboo.
Through Bamboo, yeah. And most of them will charge a buyer fee. And the buyer fee can range, and agents, as I say, can choose that. But it ranges round about so they can charge somewhere around about 1.5%, 2%, all the way up to 3.5% of the purchase price.
So if you've got a £500,000 house you're sticking into auction, you could be earning over 15 grand.
Yeah, and we've got agents who are doing that.
No, I have to say, it is as a business owner, it is an absolute no-brainer. And obviously we have the self-employed brokerage model, which enables our agents to earn quick money, really well, really securely, excellent fees, again, provided it's the right type of property. But, you can't argue with fees like that. It's quicker, it's more secure, and it's higher fees.
I mean, look, I don't know it's a no-brainer.
It's a little
because
it's not for everybody.
It's
not for every property, but for those that it is, why aren't you hunting those down?
Exactly. And I think the thing is, right, if you're charging a buyer fee, you don't have to charge the vendor fee. So that's a way to win an instruction on a low fee for a seller.
Especially when you're up against agents who are sort of punting themselves out there as the cheapest option.
Yeah, exactly. You can say, well, look, we can put this cost as a buyer fee. We'll charge 1.5%. It's unnegotiated. Whereas, if you're putting 1.5% to your seller, you're probably going to end up being negotiated down. This is an unnegotiated buyer fee. Buyers, some buyers, there's always talk about, a buyer's going to factor this into the purchase price. Well, some buyers do and some buyers don't. and it depends on the property. It depends on the competitive,
Yeah.
on the competition for that property. The one that you talked about.
The farm up the road from here. Yeah.
I don't think buyers are factoring in their buyer fee as part of the purchase price at that point.
I think the sense of needing to win overtakes that. Of course, it's going to be budgetary. From a budgetary perspective, it's going to be factored in. However, people want to win, right?
Yeah, and if you've got multiple people, and the whole point is you get multiple, you get a number of people competing for the property, and if you've got a lot of people competing for the property, then the fee becomes a rounding error in the grand scheme of wanting to own that property. There's only one of that property, remember?
No, quite. And I think, so when we're talking about it then, obviously we need to be better in terms of how we, I spot the opportunities in the first place, but actually we've got to be better at how we sell it in the front room, and we've got to be confident in how we persuade our potential clients that going for a low price doesn't mean you're going to achieve less money.
Yeah.
It's a brave step to have to make, but we need to be using case studies and evidence.
And if you're a seller that's looking for a faster sale, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
And it's having the confidence to be able to deliver that service, and that's hopefully where where we
partner with the right,
we're partnering exactly with the right provider, and we kind of think that we're good at helping agents to upskill.
Well, we're testament to that, and we can see, and you've got some amazing clients. Your recent wins are phenomenal with who you've onboarded, and what I really like and what's very evident specifically with Bamboo is that the companies that you are aligning with maintain consistent values in how they approach and do business, and that there's a lot to be said for you, because as the founder of the business, you had a vision, you wanted to stick to it, but from our perspective, making sure that we are able to enable the people that we work with to achieve, and by that I mean both agents and vendors, achieve the very best that they possibly can. It's got to be, if we're not doing 20%, then we need to give our heads a bit of a wobble, don't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Controversial opinion time. What is your controversial opinion that you do not often share about the estate agency industry? Or the property industry as a whole?
Okay, so...
Which one are you going to pick?
That's what I'm thinking about. Which one shall I say that's going to get me into the least amount of trouble?
Does it involve a lawsuit?
No, well, quite. No, so I think that there's a lot of talk about house building.
Okay, good. Tangent like that.
Thank you. It's not my first time. There's a lot of talk about house building. I don't believe that the fixation on building houses is going to solve the housing crisis.
So the solution is not the solution?
I don't believe
that solution is not the solution?
I don't believe that is the solution.
Okay.
I don't think there's any one solution, but I don't believe that it's the main solution.
Okay. So, there you go. I nearly ended in a hedge, so that's all good. So, right. So, hello. Got some friends come to join us. Okay. So what is the solution? Morning. What is the solution then? So the target is what?
Well,
the government has set a target of what?
The government set a target of, was it 1.5 million homes over the Parliament?
Yep.
So over 5 years. Mm-hmm. So 300,000. I mean, they're miles off.
Have they started? They've started, yeah.
No, and I think there's some obvious problems with this. I'm not sure why nobody else has kind of identified them. They're heavily relying on private companies to build the homes. Mm-hmm. But the private companies are disincentivised from flooding the market with stock, because they're going to devalue their own asset books. Mm. So it doesn't make any sense.
Well, there's no margin when cost of materials is through the roof, cost of labour is through the roof, and you want us to sell it for less. Is that what you mean?
Precisely. It just doesn't make any logical sense. I actually think that there are some other kind of wider issues with building more houses at that scale. There's an environmental point, and we get to enjoy this kind of environment, and I think there's a real environmental issue with building more and more and more homes, not least flooding, but also there's a massive carbon footprint with building new homes.
A lot of concrete.
I think there is, I actually think, and we talked about the price point, and I think the issue is not about the volume. I think there's fundamental issue around affordability of homes. But also, there are a lot of empty properties already in the market that could be brought back into the market to solve some of these issues. So there's currently 275,000 long-term empty homes in the UK right now.
So the annual target is what, circa 300,000?
Yeah.
And there are 275,000 empty homes right now, just boarded up and sat there.
Yep. I mean, just let that sit for a minute.
That's 1 year's target.
That's a year worth of stock. We've got people who are in, who have a lot of, I guess what the technical term is, empty space. So you've got people who have more rooms in their house.
I was going to say, it'd be a really interesting stat to know how many spare bedrooms there were.
And are disincentivised in downsizing.
It's quite a controversial policy, the spare bedroom tax, wasn't it?
Yeah, true.
However,
but I don't necessarily think we should be taxing spare bedrooms.
Yeah.
But I do think we should be
tax, but it was a definite target to reduce them, wasn't it?
Exactly. But I do think we should be thinking about how we incentivise people to downsize. Because at the moment there is no incentive in downsizing.
Stamp duty wise,
from a stamp duty point of view, from a capital gains point of view. I mean, I'm sounding like a right. I'm sounding fairly right wing in my economics. But
no, I think you're talking about freeing up. I mean, you could spread yourself across the political spectrum on that, couldn't you? In terms of, actually what you're doing is suggesting that there's a lot of space out there that isn't being utilised properly, and yet we are trying to build more space. Like, hang on a minute, there's a table full of food over there, so do we go and cook some more?
Well, it doesn't.
We consume what's already on the table.
Exactly, it doesn't really make any sense. But I also think that the focus is slightly in the wrong places. And I think if you're trying to solve a housing crisis where part of the issue is affordability, then actually the government needs to be building more homes themselves.
So we're back to the old school council houses, are we?
Why not? And if they were sensible,
they sell for a lot of money nowadays, don't they? So
well,
they were built that.
Yeah, but there are now different ways of building on a mass scale, right? We could look at modular homes.
Yes.
You can look at co-living, shared occupancy if it's done right. I just don't, and this is part of what we talked about earlier. There needs to be a more holistic approach towards solving problems. Another solution is actually, how do we make housing more accessible from other parts of the country so that people can work in one town but live in another? So take Leicester, for example. There are lots and lots of affordable apartments in Leicester. If the train line was cheaper and faster, you could have people working in London but living in Leicester.
Doing Grantham, was it an hour and a half?
Exactly.
Direct link?
It's an hour, and you can do it in an hour. But the problem is the cost of the train is so expensive. It's prohibitive.
Yes.
So actually, it stops you from distributing wealth across the country. It stops you from.
This is a series of podcasts. This is
getting access to housing.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, the more we talk about it, the less controversial it sounds, right?
It's a massive. Well, absolutely. I mean, but it's. I mean, I suppose the controversy is in the fact that it's not being adopted, and we all sit there and just accept the fact that it's not happening. But we talked about it earlier as well. I mean, off camera, that when you look at the amount of unused space, commercial space, and by that I mean office space that has permitted development rights to convert to residential, by the way, but it's just not, as you say, cost effective enough. So when I go through certain towns and I see endless office blocks that could be converted into apartments, flats, all kinds of different things, HMOs or what have you, that aren't being converted, that actually what's the incentive to make sure it is?
Well, exactly. And I think that's. I mean, I don't think it is a controversial
Great for
opinion. Maybe I
auctions.
should think of another one.
Yeah, well, it's
Great
not.
for auctions.
So
Yeah.
what's your uncontroversial opinion? Yeah, there we go. Look, it's solid points, and I think that the danger is you could end up, as I say, that's a rabbit hole and a half, isn't it? Really, and I think, for us, in terms of what we can conclude today is that actually it's just one of those unsaid things, isn't it? We just accept it blindly that that's the way it is. But as an industry, what can we do? Apart from highlight it.
Well, exactly.
There's much we can do.
Yeah.
Frustratingly and disappointingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well
Not
done.
to end on that note. But
Good, well done.
maybe something positive will come out of it. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll write a white paper and publish it.
Oh yeah, that'll do the trick.
Good idea.
How many pages? 200 pages of notes and consultation.
No, good stuff. Well done. Thanks, Robin.
Yeah, thanks very much.